Hey guys, and welcome to today's video. The TLDR, Too Long Didn't Read series aims to take potentially long, complex and drawn out topics and compress them into shorter videos packed full of information. But first, please take 2 seconds to subscribe to my YouTube channel, AshmayPT, and also give this video a thumbs up whilst you're at it. Today's video topic is how many sets you should be doing to build muscle. Let's get into it. Training volume, the topic of today's video, is a key driver of muscle growth and is calculated by the sets times the reps times the weight used for every exercise within a workout. Any of these 3 variables can be increased or decreased to make adjustments to your training volume and also provide progressive overload. However, adding or removing sets is what's going to have the biggest impact on your overall training volume. Volume guidelines are the rough landmarks put in place to help lifters determine where their training volume needs to be in order to maintain, progress, or avoid overworking themselves. The first of these volume landmarks is MV, which stands for maintenance volume. This is the minimum amount of volume that a muscle group requires in order to maintain its current level of muscularity. After this, we have MEV, which stands for minimum effective volume, and this is the minimum amount of volume required in order to make progress. Progression, but not optimal progression. After this is MAV, which stands for maximum adaptive volume, and this is the maximum amount of volume that you're able to perform while still making progress. And lastly, we have MRV, which is your maximum recoverable volume, and this is the maximum amount of volume that you can perform for a muscle group in a training week while still recovering. You're unlikely to be progressing here because you're just on the verge of not even being able to recover. You're essentially stuck in the recovery trap. The actual numbers for each of these landmarks will vary muscle group to muscle group, person to person, training cycle to training cycle. It will fluctuate all of the time. So it does require experimentation and awareness from the lifter. However, there are some rough guidelines to get you started. Maintenance volume for most muscle groups will generally be around 6 sets per week. The minimum effective volume for most muscle groups will generally be around 10 sets per week. Maximum adaptive volume is generally upwards of 22 sets per week, and the maximum recoverable volume for most muscle groups is going to be somewhere around 26 sets per week. So this basically gives us an effective training volume range of 10 sets per week up to 22 sets per week. So we've got quite a lot of room to play with. With knowledge of these volume guidelines, we're able to build progression into our training programs to allow for optimal muscle growth. The aim should be to work your muscles from the bottom of the effective range to the top of the effective range in order to stimulate maximum hypertrophy. So now we know our volume guidelines, we can look at the periodization of our programming. Like I said, we can't just choose a number within the effective range and stay there for the whole 12 weeks of training. The goal is to start at the bottom and work up to the top of the range. Then we have a program deload, and then you go right back, start at the bottom and work your way back up. See how this works? So within a training block, the set periodization could look something like this. Starting at 10 sets on week 1 and progressing this by 2 sets per muscle group every week, all the way up to week 7, which puts you at 22 sets. So you can see that's taken us from the bottom to the top of the range. And then, just like I said, we need to deload because we've reached all the way up to the top of the range. So on week 8, we're going to deload and bring our training volume right the way back down to 6 working sets per muscle group. This is very low, but this places the muscle at the maintenance volume and gives us a great starting place for the next block of training. A really common question when we're looking at this kind of topic is what actually counts as a set, because it can get confusing when you're looking at compound movements, such as the bench press, for example. When you're looking at the big prime movers like your chest and your back, this is a really simple thing. You know when you're doing a set of chest, but it's definitely a lot more tricky when you get into the small muscles like triceps, rear delts, that kind of thing. Obviously, there's no feasible way of determining exactly how much your triceps are contributing to a bench press compared to a set of tricep pushdowns or to what your chest is in the bench press itself. But really, that's fine because there's no need to be this anal about your programming. A good general rule of thumb is that every set of a compound movement counts as a third of a set for the secondary and tertiary muscles within that movement. For example, 3 sets of bench press would count as 3 sets for your chest, 1 set for your shoulder, and 1 set for your triceps. And using the same logic, 3 sets of barbell rows would count as 3 sets for your back, 1 set for your biceps, and 1 set for your rear delts. While this may not be perfect, it gives you a pretty good idea of where your compound and isolation set numbers need to be in relation to your workout programming. And that's it guys, the TLDR version of how many sets you should be doing to build muscle. Thank you for watching and keep an eye out for the next video in the TLDR video series. Make sure you subscribe to my channel Ashmay PT and click the bell button so that you don't miss it. Until the next one, see you later guys.